Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Newsgram. First, a warning. The subject of this week's show is highly controversial. Salty Yeom's debut book, God's Plan, contains some radical views. And they are thought-provoking. I'm going to play a couple of sound bites from Salty later in the show with a recent interview he and JT Crowley did on the Talking Books podcast. On that show, Salty talked about his willingness to earn money, too. And that's part of his plan. So let's get into it. Here is Salty Yeom.
God made me to write this book. It's God's plan.
So what exactly is God's plan regarding COVID-19 and the worldwide pandemic? According to Salty, the message is clear. The pandemic will last 3 years and 6 months. Humanity needs to understand that no vaccine can eliminate the COVID-19 virus. Only Christ can do that. And he goes on to explain his point a bit further.
I have been studying science and math for over 3 years. I tend not to believe anything that can't be proven. Luckily, God has given me enough evidence to believe it. And I think was able to write this book.
According to Salty, the virus peaked in August of this year and has begun a long, slow decline, which should end in June of next year, 2023. When the pandemic first broke out in South Korea, Salty lost his job, so he turned to prayer, and 40 days later he received a message to write a book about the current pandemic. In God's Plan, Alpha and Omega of COVID-19, he shares the message that he says reveals our Heavenly Father's plan for mankind. God's Plan presents a unique and provocative view, and it's available now wherever books are sold. And that's it for this week's edition of Newsgram.